one of the things that I think about very hard and long about how a person makes their decision. And when I was in school, I had a couple situations where the evidence it was 40% on this side, 40% on this. My faculty advisor said A, my colleague said B. And I was saying, oh, should I get more data? Then my wife said, no, I want you to graduate now. So I don't have the time for that. How do you come to, because you're going to have situations where you have your values, and you're going to be drawn. How are you going to make decisions? I'm trying to figure out how your decision making.
Yeah, I'm a fact gatherer first. I mean, by trade, I'm a lawyer. My background is a lawyer, so I have to get the facts first.
Yes.
So I'm not the first to speak. Oftentimes, I will listen.
Yes.
And actively pursue information.
Right.
Do my diligence. I mean, that's the part that's important. You do your diligence on the front end, so you're not making an apology on the back end. And so that's my goal. My objective is to be well read on a subject. When I was a city council member, I read all the contracts before voting on the contracts, which was not necessarily the norm.
But not a lot of people did that.
No, but it was something I felt I needed to do. And so I'm a very diligent person in that respect. Then I'm logical as well. So I open my doors, I hear different arguments. I'm never closed-minded at the top of a discussion. I'm always willing to hear and actively educate myself on the issue before making a determination. And of course, I tend to be logical in terms of what makes the best sense for the whole. But also, if there's something that's just undue harm, I mean, you can't just think about the whole. There's some examples where a group or a smaller population, for example, a minority, that we have to take into account what are the harms there.
Right.
Think about things like the ADA and how the expense of the ADA in terms of companies and businesses and buildings. But you have to ask your question, what is the right thing to do? Should we cut off access to society for our populations that have mobility challenges? No, we shouldn't. We need to pay the money and build out things properly so that all people, regardless of ability, have the access that they need. So sometimes, it's about weighing things in a more holistic fashion, and it's not necessarily just majority rule.
Right.
It's a balance of majority rule and what's right and what's wrong.
So as a leader, you're willing to make the choice of what's right and what is best, even though maybe
there are consequences.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of my favorite things about Governor Mark White was that he had a mantra of never being afraid of the consequences of doing the right thing. And I think that's called having principled leaders, right? You've got to be willing. Sometimes you're going to have to get some heat on some decisions that you make because you're trying to be principled and make the decisions that are just, quite frankly, after you've diligenced them, you conclude are the right things to do.
Yep.
And that's what, sometimes that's going to mean, someone's going to get mad at you. And, you have to be able in this business, that will happen. You can't crumble to that pressure. But sometimes it's going to mean something bigger. Something is going to get taken away from